So, hi.
Hi, how's it going?
Oh, wonderful. Thanks. Thanks. Great for having us. Thanks a lot.
Oh, not a problem. I'm very glad to be able to do this. And I've loved you guys ever since the band started. And it's great to be able to talk about the self titled album coming out tomorrow through Napalm Records.
Yeah, by tomorrow. Already. I'm glad that the day will finally come.
It's got to be such a great feeling, like the world is starting to get back to some kind of normalcy. A lot of
Oh, yeah.
tours and shows are getting announced for this year and next year, and a new album is coming out. So, when everything does get back officially to normal, there's new music to be able to play.
Oh, yes. And I really can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I'm reading a lot on Blabbermouth and Brave Words and so on. And it really seems that in the United States, things are at least one or two steps ahead of us. I mean, in Germany, you basically can't have a show with 100 people in the same place at the moment, still. And I just thought this afternoon that probably the COVID situation is the perfect thing for people like Germans, where everybody wants to do everything 150% at least. So they're so careful, and at the same time, that makes us sadly very slow. So I really hope when I look to the United States with the concerts finally reappearing and bigger places as well, if that is the future, I really can't wait until we get that point, really.
Oh, absolutely. So, with that in mind, I mean, with the album coming out tomorrow through Napalm Records, and just like even today being able to release the first track as the new single, I mean, how does it feel for people to be able to get a taste of this album so far?
I think one of the biggest advantages talking to people from other countries is that basically there is the saying with a prophet in the own country. In Germany, if we're successful in Germany and we've got some very good reviews now with this album, it really means a lot because the Germans are very critical to the people from their own country. But if I got the chance to talk with you from the United States and talk with somebody from England today and from Italy and from Greece and so on, it's so much more even from the other countries. The feedback is so much better even. So that really gives me a lot of hope for this album because I think with Napalm Records, we have a company for the first time that we are given the chance to reach many people around the world. And that really helps building up a fan base, which was incredibly more difficult with a smaller label before. So at the moment, I'm really super excited and absolutely positive about the album.
Oh, it's so great to hear that too, and especially when you do have the backing of such a great label like Napalm. I mean,
Mm.
they have such a great star-studded clientele, and it's great to see that you guys are a part of that too. And finally getting that recognition, and being
Yeah,
able to get that great promotion around the world. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's absolutely deserved, and for this album
absolutely.
especially to see where you guys are at right now and having that backing of Napalm is so cool to see.
I totally agree. Ever since we started Hammer King in 2015, I think we were absolutely happy with our own old label Cruz del Sur, and Enrico, the boss of the label, is a true friend of ours. But it was apparent that we were not exactly the type of band that his audience really likes. And on the other hand, it was very difficult to reach the audience that really likes Hammer King. So we always thought somewhere in the back of our minds that one day we should be with Napalm, which was the first choice for us as a band. And so it was wonderful. Once the connection was there and they really said, yeah, we want to do that with you. And we were absolutely into Napalm from the beginning. So this is really so helpful, actually. The promotion that they do is so much different from anything I've experienced before in all the bands that I did. So that is really, it's wonderful, actually.
Oh, it really is. It's such a great thing to see. So, getting into the actual album, I mean, how did it feel to start writing for this album?
Natural and exactly the same way as always, because the good thing is we did not know yet that we would be on Napalm, so there was no extra pressure if you want. So we just wrote the next album, and as always, you try to outdo everything you've done before and have the best possible album, or at least a different album. And with Hammer King, it's always been our goal to get as many catchy songs as you can. I mean, with Hammer King, we think we have a band that could be a support band for a well-known artist, or we could be on a festival. And there is a good chance that we can win over many people because our music is really easy to get into. And this time, for the first time since our first album, I think we have the biggest amount of songs that you really need to play live ever since the first album. And combined with the wonderful mix and master that Jakob Hansen did for us, we have a very, very powerful album for the first time. And I just said that in the interview that I did before. I think this might be my 12th, 13th, or 14th album that I've made with all the bands and projects that I was in. But it was the first time that honestly I was impressed by my own work because of the sound of the album, because of all the energy that's there. When I listened to the final mix in my car, I was driving around across the landscape that we got here, some hills and stuff, and I was listening to the album. Basically, I've heard the songs many times before, but the sound was so intense that I was smiling, and I said to myself, this is the first time in your time as a musician that you're really impressed by your own album, and that is something special for me. I never had that before. So I think everything really matches perfectly this time. The songs, the sound, the artwork, the record company, everything is very perfect at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see all of this happening for Hammer King. And,
Mm.
you know, just like you were saying before, and it's exactly how I feel about the album as well, too. I mean, besides the songwriting and musicality just being so much fun and so enjoyable to listen to. I
Mm.
mean, sonically, the production, the mixing, the mastering, everything just has that power and intensity behind
Yeah.
it, but it doesn't lack anything. It feels
Mm.
like it's the right sounds that are being mixed and mastered together to create this album. And it's just between all of that, getting on the right label, everything that I'm sure is to come in the future. I mean, it's great to see all of these things happening for you guys.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks a lot. I mean, that's absolutely what I think. Of course, when you're in the situation yourself, there are moments when you think, okay, but what if it doesn't happen? Then I've tried everything that I can, and I really believe that we made everything basically quite perfect this time. But speaking to people from all around the world, I have the impression that there is a fair chance that we really can move onward with our band, because we can reach many people. And honestly, I mean, there is always criticism. You will always get someone who doesn't like anything. But basically, everything has been very generous this time.
Oh, yeah, and, you know, I'm just so happy to see that recognition happening. I mean, this is my favorite style of power metal. I mean, just like it's the fun style, lots of double bass, just catchy riffs,
Mm.
everything that's going on with it. I mean, it's 100% up my alley. And I've even seen people online who have said that they're not always particularly into power metal, that is
Mm.
loving the singles that have been released so far. So when you're able to adapt new fans every time that you release an album, and, you know, for a lot of people, they're checking you out for the very first time, with the
Yeah,
part
yeah,
being Napalm Records. I mean, that's got to be such a great feeling in and of itself.
yeah. I totally think so. I mean, that's why I said that we want to play support shows. I mean, basically, musicians always say, "Ah, we want to play headlining shows," but that's bullshit. I mean, if you're a quite new band, you should play these infamous 40-minute support slots in order to win over an audience that does not know you. Because what use does it have to play in front of the audience that already knows us? You can't go forward like this. So we really hope that we can play support shows with this album, because I think we have always been quite successful on smaller festivals. We played a show, I think 2 years ago, with Brainstorm, Mystic Prophecy, Freedom Call, Burning Witches, and us. I think the 5 bands. And we were the newest band. And at that point, we really sold more merchandise than Burning Witches, who are selling very, very well at the moment. But we basically could always sell our music very well to the people who are not typically into power metal or heavy metal, because we have this certain kind of a, I mean, it's always hard to say, but I think there's a certain type of a pop approach in the melodies. And that's what I personally like. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Genesis, a huge fan of Queen. And basically, I know that the 70s stuff from Genesis and from Queen is godlike. but honestly, I enjoy the 80s stuff quite a bit as well. So I really like the pop approach in music, which does not take away anything from the heavy and the power side of metal if you balance it well. And I think that's really what we did with this album.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like I was saying before, it's just like it's so fun to listen to. And when you do combine all of those elements together, I mean, you make for an amazing band that puts out great music. And it's so
Mm,
great to see that a newer band like yourselves a couple years ago were able to move that kind of merchandise. And
mm,
I just think about that when I go to see like a main uh headlining band, and then there's a main support band or the opening
mm,
band that just
yeah.
completely blows me away.
Mm,
That's what I'm going to remember more than the amazing headlining set that I
yeah,
would see as well too,
absolutely.
because I love hearing that new music that's coming out, and
Mm,
making those new discoveries is such a cool thing.
absolutely. I remember back in the day when German festivals like the Bang Your Head Festival, for example, they used to have only one stage. Nowadays they got two, which is still kind of okay. But I really think the days with one stage were perfect because when you went to the festival for 2 days, Friday and Saturday, you would basically go and see each and every band. So you went home after the weekend and had probably seen 22 bands, of which at least say 8 or 10 you had never heard before. And most of the time, you picked up 1 or 2 or 3 albums from bands that you just saw on the stage because they were fantastic. And you really could get into them by seeing them live. And that's the kind of um, the art of music and heavy metal, especially, that I really like. That you can win over people when they see you on stage, when they feel the energy and they can get into the songs. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm looking forward to live shows more than ever.
Oh, I can absolutely imagine so. And in speaking of the art of playing music and heavy metal and all those great things, the artwork behind you is just absolutely amazing. And I love it for the album cover. It just
Yeah, thank
matches
you.
the mood of the album so well, being able to see the colors, see the lightning,
Mm,
all
yeah.
the little details when you really look into it and you can see all that stuff. I mean, it's just an amazing album cover. And I'm glad to see you guys have something like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we really liked the artwork that we had on the first 3 albums. There was no question. And we thought we would stick with Timo Würz, who did that. But then when we came to Napalm, they, of course, suggested some people, and we tried them, and we suggested some people by ourselves. And then when Peter Salai sent the first sketch for the artwork, the sketch was so powerful, even as a sketch, that we said, okay, we have to practically discard everything else and go with that. And then it was around Christmas time. We even phoned on Christmas Eve and we talked about the artwork. And he's a super relaxed guy. He said, "You are no problem. I can do that." And then he sent some more layers of art. And then I said, "Okay, can you add the fire in the hand of the king?" Yeah, of course, no problem. And then when I saw the finished artwork, high resolution, for the first time, and you could scroll into it and see all the details that you just mentioned, it was amazing. And then I compared it to other artwork that we had before, and it became apparent that it's really was just a step up. Actually, it's really fantastic. And Napalm did some T-shirts with the cover art, and I think 2 weeks ago I got them for the first time, and they look super fantastic on the people. When I saw the first sketch, I thought, oh, it's just another T-shirt. It looks really great, but if you see it on the people, ooh, it looks fantastic. So there is something about this artwork that I really like, and it's totally agreed on that we will keep working with Peter Salai for the next albums, as far as artwork is concerned.
Oh, that's just incredible. And, again, it goes with the saying, everything's going in the right direction
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Hammer King. I mean, when you have all the right people that you're working with, all the right people behind the boards, when you got a great label like Napalm, when you got a great artist that's willing to make the artwork that stands out even more than you thought it could.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
when you get the right team behind you to be able to create music and go forward in a
yeah.
band, there's got to be no greater feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is honestly, that's exactly, we have one guy in the background who is sort of doing some advices for us, consulting if you want so. And that's exactly what he said. You must understand that you need the perfect people for everything that you do. So we have found Peter Salai for the artwork. We have Jakob Hansen for mix and mastering. Of course, we have our dear friend Charles Greywolf of Powerwolf fame, who is recording and producing the album in the studio. We have now we found the right people to work on the videos, of course, some people for the layout, for the photos, and so on. There's so many, for the art, for the outfit on stage, of course, as well. So there's very, very many elements actually, but it really, it's less inside of your head that you know it, you really feel it. When you have all the people, everything that you do feels very much easier than before actually. And that's the point where we are at the moment. And I think that will give us a lot of freedom to work actually.
Oh, definitely. And I'm glad you brought up the videos as well too, because I love the videos that have been released. I really think for like Hammerschlag and for Atlantis that, you know, it's just like they fit perfectly for the songs as well too, and it's great to see that.
Oh, fantastic! Have you seen the new one?
Uh, I I haven't heard it yet. I know, or
Okay.
I mean I've heard the song, but I haven't gotten the chance to see the video
Okay.
yet, and
I
I'm
think
very
it's
excited to be
really
able to check
like
that out.
10 hours ago or so. So we used somebody else for the new one as well. And I really think he did a fantastic job as well. So we basically at the moment we have two people to work with on the videos, which will be fantastic. So you got two different styles which both fit the music very well.
Oh, for sure. And you know, whether you're able to go out and film or you have lyric videos or whatever
Mhm.
the case is, I think there's a great argument that you can go either direction and be able to fulfill a great vision to be able to really promote the song. And it's really great to see that, you know, like with the two videos I've seen so far, and especially with Awaken the Thunder, which I'm going to be checking out shortly after
Mhm.
this, I just know that you guys are going in the right direction when it comes into everything that should be shown off visually.
Mhm. And I'm absolutely glad that Napalm actually gives us the opportunity to do that many videos. Back with the older labels and all the different bands that I was, you basically would do one video to kick off the album. That's all. And this time we did three videos before we released the album, and there is probably going to be two more videos coming up later, hopefully. So that's very enjoyable. And of course, life is about learning. We've really improved acting in the videos as well, which basically, if you do one video every 2 years, you will never do. So we grew as performers in the video as well, and that's very helpful on stage as well.
Oh yeah, and I think that's just so important too. I mean, when you're acting in the videos, whether you're having fun with it, whether you're being serious with it, whether you're just playing in a normal video, whatever the case is, I think all of that can really help for the live setting as well too, because you're used to having a camera on you, which means that you're going to be having a lot of people focused on
Yeah, yeah.
what you're doing, you know, after the fact, of course. But in that live setting, you know, you're getting used to all those people being in front of you, and you know, just having that confidence and being on the stage shows and just getting tighter and tighter as a band.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that was, I remember when I did the first video with Ross the Boss in 2008, I think. We filmed it at the Markthalle in Hamburg, which is a quite famous venue. And we were thrown into the cold water, absolutely. And I performed the hell out of myself. And I was very much younger and I was very naive back in that day, which is a good thing because when you're very naive, you can do many things that you can't do when you grow up. And so that was a very, very good video for me. And I immediately kept many of the movements that I came up in the spur of the moment and incorporate them into the live setting actually. And now the last video that we did for Awaken the Thunder especially was the first time since 2008, since the Ross the Boss video, that I really felt this kind of free again to just do whatever I feel and not think about it. Because the older you get, the more you reflect about anything. And that was very, very helpful. And I think that was, hopefully that's the starting point for a certain development for the life situation, to grow again and feel freer and perform more freely and in bigger gestures and more presence and more focused, actually, as you said. So I'm really hoping that we can get to the live situation as soon as possible and really keep that progress.
Oh, for sure. And thinking about that as well too. I mean, when you're able to look back at all the bands and musicians that you've been able to play with, how do you feel about your own personal progression of uh, you know, whether it's songwriting or playing riffs or the stage show? Like, how do you feel that you've progressed?
Honestly, I think there's two periods in my life about all that. The first is the youth, in a way, when you do anything your body accepts anything, your vocals accept anything that you do. Any maltreatment is always fine for your vocals when you're very young. And then when you grow up, you lose most of these things. And that's the point where you either get better or you stop. And in my case, I kept going. So now I can say within the last 5 years, if you listen to all the Hammer King albums, the vocals sound pretty much different on all the albums. On the first, I was still kind of screaming in a way, like I used to do in the past. And on the second, I started transitioning into what I did now. And this time when I was in the new studio of Charles's, I could sing totally relaxed, freely, and without thinking too much for the first time in maybe 10 years. And I don't know what it is. I mean, it must be a certain sort of a focus, but it's also a certain sort of training from my vocal cords that I now can do so many things that I have not been able to do within the last 10 years. And that is something, when you're a singer, there is no greater thing than to sing better than before, because usually when you're aging, everybody gets weaker. And in the last couple of years, I must say, gladly, I got better. So that's very helpful. One of my biggest sort of idols is Biff Byford of Saxon, who really improved at the age of 45, I think. He got better than ever before. And that's one of maybe 2 or 3 singers that I know. Everybody got weaker with age. And he sounds fantastic. And I think he's 70 years old. So that is, hopefully I'm one of that sort of people, because I really have the feeling that I'm getting better by, especially when it comes to singing, and playing the guitar and singing at the same time is getting easier every year. So basically, playing music is fantastic. The more you do, the better you get, actually. So that's what I think about playing music.
Oh, very true. And yeah, I can definitely say that from the fan perspective as well too. I mean, I of course love the previous Hammer King albums, and I gotta say, like, especially with the self-titled one, it feels like you are at your most relaxed. It feels the most comfortable when it comes to the vocals. And I know how hard that can be when you're playing guitar and singing at the same time, because you got to focus on those riffs, you got to focus on the lyrics, you got to focus on when you're live, you got to focus on the crowd and make sure that they're having fun. Everything that's going along with that.
The fog machine.
Oh yeah, that's very true. But yeah, I mean, when you're able to do all of that.
I really don't think about playing the guitar all too much when I'm singing. Basically, the first thing you focus on is the audience, the second is the vocals, and the third is the guitar. So basically, nothing is more helpful as a guitarist than to be the singer at the same time, because you will never think about the guitar.
That's actually a really good way to look at it. And yeah, I mean, that's another great sign. And just seeing that, the improvements of comfortability that's going on with the vocals. I mean, when you can get more relaxed, more focused, more comfortable with those vocals, then everything else will fall into place. And it really feels like that way again with this album. It just feels like everything is in the right place for Hammer King. And I just know things are only gonna get better from here on out.
I take you by the word. Absolutely.
Oh, that's so great. So, thinking about that, I mean, obviously wanting to get back out there and playing shows is very important. And of course, again, tomorrow with the release of the album through Napalm Records, is there anything to look forward to coming up with Hammer King that we should be on the lookout for? You mentioned a couple new videos that are going to be coming out, but is there anything else that we can look forward to that you can talk about?
Yeah, hopefully we will start playing shows by July. So I think July the 17th or 16th is the first show that has not been canceled yet, so to speak. And we hope that we can play it. And so we should be able to start playing live shows by the summer, hopefully more shows to come up in autumn. So that is probably the most important part for us, because we understand ourselves as a live band, actually. Then, as I said before, there should be probably 2 more videos. There is a fair chance that we will have a sort of a standalone single with an exclusive track, which is not on the album, or let's say mostly not on the album, because if you hear it, you will recognize there's a small part that you've heard before. That could be out on vinyl, hopefully, would be very interesting. And yeah, of course, we will have some merchandise things. And lately we've started building sort of an action figure, the Hammer King as a I don't know what the English word is, the sort of KISS used to have these figures that you can put on your shelf, for
Oh
example.
yeah. Mhm.
And somebody actually offered us and said, look what I did, and it looked fantastic. And he's building, I think the king is built with a machine, but everything is hand painted. So each and everything looks a little bit different. Every figure would be unique, and actually it's strangely it's affordable. So we will have these things in the assortiment in the future, which I'm looking forward to, because I really have a fable for these things. I'm a huge KISS fan, so I like these costumes and all the small personas and everything. So we will have that for Hammer King as well. That would be very interesting, actually.
Oh, that's got me very excited. And I absolutely love action figures. I love being
Me
able
too.
to set them up and take a look at them from all different styles. And
The women,
yeah, I'm gonna have to be on the lookout for that, because I think a Hammer King action figure, being able to have that set up and in my home, would just be incredible.
the same here. I just get laughed at because I know people always say, the guys are playing with dolls, and the guys always say, no, it's not a doll, it's an action figure. So the same happens here, but I'm absolutely looking forward to that, and I hope I will get a place in my apartment to set it up. I have to talk.
Oh, definitely. And I think that's a great note to be able to end on too. I mean, so much to look forward to when it comes to Hammer King. And of course, the brand new self-titled album coming out tomorrow through Napalm Records. I love this album from start to finish. There's so many songs that feel like they're going to work out so well in that live setting. And it's going to be great to be able to see you guys going out there and being able to perform at festivals and touring and everything else that's going to be happening, especially with the backing of Napalm Records now. And hopefully more opportunities are able to come that way. And with it, I thank you very much for taking the time to be able to talk to me about all of it.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for having me, actually. I mean, I absolutely cherish talking to people from everywhere, and thanks for the support. I mean, the more people I can talk to, the better. And it was fun talking to you, really. So thanks a lot for the good questions.
Oh yeah, I'm glad to be able to do that, and just have like a real conversation rather than having a list in front of me and not listening to what you're saying and just wanting to get everything off the checklist. Like, I like being able to go back and forth and really know what's going on, because that means so much more to me.
Yeah, and that's exactly what our music is with the audience as well. You give energy and you get some back. So thanks for having me. It was a blast, really.
Oh, absolutely. I feel exactly the same way. I can't wait to be able to show off this interview. And again, I thank you very much for taking the time to do this. I know it's been a busy press day, so I'll let you go. So just one last time, thank you very much for taking the time to do this. And I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thanks a lot. The same to you. And as I always say, God bless the king. May the king bless all of you.